Eryndor stared at him, stunned. What do you mean? I'm just a commoner. My family has no claim to the throne. Magnus nodded gravely. Your mother was once a member of the royal family. You are the son of a long-forgotten prince, and it is time for you to take your rightful place. The kingdom of Eldoria stood at the edge of a new era. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm amber glow over the sprawling royal palace. Its towering stone walls, adorned with intricate carvings, seemed to reach for the heavens. The palace overlooked lush gardens, vast courtyards, and fountains that shimmered in the afternoon light. The serene atmosphere outside, however, masked the turbulence brewing within the kingdom's walls. The kingdom was ancient, its history steeped in the blood of kings and queens who had ruled with wisdom and strength. But now, with the king's health rapidly declining, the future of Eldoria hung in the balance. The people whispered in the streets, wondering who would claim the throne, and whether the kingdom would remain united or fall into chaos. Inside the royal palace, King Aldric, once a mighty ruler, sat alone in his royal chamber, his body frail and weakened by illness. His once powerful frame had become fragile, his once sharp eyes now clouded with the weight of time and sickness. His golden crown, once a symbol of strength, now seemed heavy on his brow. The royal advisor, Magnus, stood by his side, his face a mask of concern. He had been with the king through countless trials, but now, the most important trial was yet to come: the succession. "My king," Magnus began softly, his voice filled with worry, "your health is declining rapidly. The kingdom needs a ruler, and soon." King Aldric nodded, his voice weak but resolute. "I know, Magnus, but the law of Eldoria states that the throne must pass to my firstborn, and Elara is still too young. The nobles, they are not fit to rule." Magnus, ever loyal to the king, could see the deep concern in his eyes. Perhaps it is time to invoke the challenge, a test of strength, wisdom, and courage. Only those worthy may claim the throne. The king's gaze darkened, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on him. But who among them is worthy, and who will stand by Elara when the time comes? The royal advisor's face softened with sympathy. "I will see to it that the challenge is fair, my king, and when the time comes, the kingdom will rally behind your daughter. The laws of Eldoria will be upheld, and the future of this kingdom will be decided by those who prove themselves." Days passed, and the king's condition worsened. His once regal figure had become a shadow of its former self. His golden crown had been placed beside him on the bedside table, untouched for days. On the day of his passing, the royal chambers were filled with mournful silence. The king's final breath was taken with the first light of dawn, his body growing cold as the sun rose. Magnus, standing at the foot of the king's bed, closed his eyes in reverence. The kingdom had lost its ruler, but the future of Eldoria would soon be decided. The royal advisor knew what had to be done. In the grand hall, the nobles, lords, and ladies gathered. The air was thick with tension as Magnus stepped forward, his voice carrying across the room. "The time has come," Magnus announced, "for the kingdom to choose a new ruler. In accordance with the king's wishes, a challenge will be held. Only those worthy may claim the throne. The laws of Eldoria will be upheld, and the future of this kingdom will be decided by those who prove themselves." The nobles exchanged glances, each one sizing up the others. Among them was Lord Cedric, a man known for his ambition and cunning. Though not a member of the royal family, Cedric had long harbored aspirations of power. His sharp mind and charisma made him a formidable contender, but his thirst for the throne was tempered by a dark secret: his willingness to do whatever it took to seize control, regardless of the cost. Lord Cedric had always been a master of diplomacy, able to sway even the most stubborn of nobles with his words, but his true nature was far more ruthless. Beneath his charming smile and polished demeanor lay a man willing to betray his own allies to secure his place on the throne. Princess Elara, the king's only child, sat alone in her chambers, her heart heavy with the weight of her father's death. She had always been groomed to rule, but now that the moment had come, she was filled with uncertainty. She loved her kingdom, but she was unsure if she was ready to lead it. As she gazed out at the sprawling gardens below, the royal advisor entered her room. His presence, though comforting, carried with it a sense of urgency. "Elara," Magnus said gently, "the time for you to take the throne is near. The challenge is not just for the throne, it is for the future of Eldoria." The princess turned to him, her eyes filled with doubt. "But I am not ready. I have never ruled. How can I lead when I don't even know what it truly means?" Magnus placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice firm. "You are not alone, Your Highness. The kingdom will stand by you, but you must decide who will stand beside you in this challenge." Elara's mind raced. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. Yet now that it had arrived, she felt more lost than ever. The challenge would not only decide the future of Eldoria, but also the future of her family. Her father's legacy rested on her shoulders, and she wasn't sure if she was strong enough to carry it. Meanwhile, Sir Alaric, a noble knight of Eldoria, stood in his family's estate, his mind heavy with the weight of his family's expectations. Alaric was a man of honor, known for his bravery in battle, yet he had no desire to claim the throne. His loyalty to the kingdom was unwavering, but he had always believed that leadership was not meant for him. Alaric's father, Lord Valter, had been pressuring him to take up the challenge. "You are the heir, Alaric. The throne is your birthright. The kingdom needs you." But Alaric had never wanted the throne. He had no interest in the politics of ruling. He preferred the quiet life of a knight, helping the common folk and protecting the kingdom from harm. One day, while riding through the village, Alaric encountered an old woman who had fallen and was struggling to rise. Without hesitation, he dismounted his horse and rushed to her side. "Are you all right, madam?" Alaric asked, kneeling beside her. The woman, frail and weathered, looked up at him with a grateful smile. "I am fine, my lord, thanks to your kindness." Alaric helped her to her feet, his actions demonstrating the deep compassion he held for the people of Eldoria. The villagers who had gathered around watched in awe as the noble knight showed his true nature. Not as a man seeking power, but as a man who cared for his people. Despite his reluctance, Alaric knew he could not deny the challenge. Family pressure and the kingdom's need for a strong ruler would not allow him to step aside. The challenge was coming, and he would have to face it, whether he wanted to or not. Elsewhere in the kingdom, a young man named Eryndor lived a humble life in a small village. He had always felt that there was something more to his heritage, something he couldn't quite understand. Raised by his mother, who often spoke in cryptic riddles about his past, Eryndor had always wondered about his true lineage. One day, while working in the village square, Eryndor was approached by a man he did not recognize. The man was tall, with a weathered face and a commanding presence. It was the royal advisor, Magnus. "Eryndor," Magnus said, his voice low and serious, "I have come to tell you something you may not know. You are of royal blood. You are the true heir to the throne of Eldoria." Eryndor stared at him, stunned. "What do you mean? I'm just a commoner. My family has no claim to the throne." Magnus nodded gravely. "Your mother was once a member of the royal family. You are the son of a long-forgotten prince, and it is time for you to take your rightful place." Eryndor was left speechless, overwhelmed by the revelation. His life had just been turned upside down, and he didn't know what to do with the knowledge. Magnus, sensing his confusion, offered him one last piece of information. "There is a relic, hidden deep in the forest, that will prove your nobility. Find it and bring it to the palace. Only then will your claim be recognized." Eryndor's heart raced as the royal advisor's words sank in. This was the moment that could change everything. He had to find the relic. As Eryndor stood in the dense, ancient forest, the weight of Magnus's words echoed in his mind. The royal advisor had just revealed a secret that would change his life forever. His bloodline, a lineage he had never known, tied to the very kingdom he had lived his whole life outside of. The forest around him seemed to hold its breath as the wind whispered through the trees, the air thick with the promise of something greater than himself. Magnus's words were clear. "There is a relic hidden deep within this forest, a symbol of your true heritage. It will prove your nobility when you present it to the kingdom. Only then will you understand the power that flows through your veins." Eryndor's heart raced as he stepped forward, the path ahead uncertain but filled with purpose. The forest seemed to part for him as he ventured deeper, the shadows growing longer and the air cooler. Every step he took brought him closer to the relic and closer to the truth of his identity. But what he didn't know was that the relic was not just a symbol, it was a key to the throne of Eldoria, one that could change the fate of the entire kingdom. The challenge for the throne had only just begun, and Eryndor was about to enter a game of power, betrayal, and ancient secrets that would test everything he thought he knew about himself. The mystery deepens, and Eryndor's journey has only just begun. Will he uncover the truth of his royal bloodline? And how will the challenge for the throne unfold as more contenders step forward? Don't miss the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more thrilling adventures in the world of Eldoria. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Till next time, bye.